Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Mario Nawfall Roundtable X Spaces. Hello and good day, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be. My name is Pulse Digital. I get to be your co-host today on the Roundtable, and I'll have another co-host up here. David 10X is going to be with me in just a second, but we're going to look at the title first. We're here today talking about Web3 Social Unfiltered, pros, cons, and reality with BondX app. BondX is our paid sponsor for today's spaces. We're very excited that they chose to get us together today. Now, they're not just talking about Web3 social. More specifically, we're talking about talent recruitment, job hunting, networking. There's going to be a lot of cool discussion today. And in particular, just because I think that the way this is more like a meta spaces, because some of us here have to actively participate in this area. So this will be cool. It's not just a DeFi talk. It's actually like job recruitment and networking. So stick around for this. It's going to be a great one. What we're going to do, if you've been here before, you kind of already know the format, but let me give you a quick refresher. You just got here. You can request a spot to speak. Best thing you can do is be a speaker on one of Mario's spaces. However, as you can imagine, it's a stacked panel. And if we can't get you up here, the next best place to be is in the comment section. Please take a look in the bottom right. Let's get down there and pump up the comments. Number go up, please. Go down there. The earlier you get there, the more visible your stuff is, which is great for your algorithmic bumps and your monthly analytic checks. But it's also great for conversation. Tag whoever you're talking to. If you need our attention, if you're talking to BondX, make sure you tag them so everybody can read it. Share the spaces. Put it on your timeline. Send a DM, particularly if you know somebody that's working in Web3 or struggling to find that first job in Web3. Networking spaces can be such a educational thing. So make sure you send it if you know somebody that's specifically interested. And then last is emojis, which help us out actually quite a bit as hosts and speakers. It lets us know that you guys can hear what we're talking about, that you do or don't agree with us, or that you're laughing along. So they're still free. So use the emojis as many times as you like throughout the show. Now, I promised you, David 10X. I deliver on my promises. Good day, sir. Welcome to the spaces.
What's up, Pulse? What's up, everybody out here? Thanks to all the listeners for coming out. Everybody's here early. Wow, you guys must be excited to see what BondX is doing, just like me. I've seen a few companies doing this. Not going to lie, they're not the only one, but I feel like they're doing it different. They are my favorite branding thus far. I'm looking at their logo. Absolute killer. You guys need to give your design team a raise. Definitely a holiday bonus, but so much has been happening in the space lately. Pulse, the past 24 hours feel like it's been 69 hours. I don't know what's going on.
It'll age you if you're not careful. That's why I'm really meticulous about my beauty sleep and having a firm bedtime, because otherwise crypto will get the best of you, man. It's a high speed game. Play hard, work hard, rest hard. That's my philosophy on it. What we do, the format for those of you that might have been here or might not, we're going to give BondX an opportunity to give us basically a 60-second elevator pitch. We want them to tease us and get you excited to stick around for the full AMA, because we do have a full AMA coming up on the backside of the show, and we want you to be excited about that. So if you're going to be part of the panel, you get to listen to that. And then we've got a whole bunch of stuff, like Dave said, news from throughout the week, and then things about networking that we're going to ask, and we're going to want your opinion on, because as hosts, we're supposed to talk, in the beginning and the end, but it's mostly up to you guys. We want to hear what you guys have to talk about and stuff like that. So with having said that, I know Ignacio is here from BondX. Is that right?
I don't see BondX on the stage.
He's coming up, it looks like. He's a listener right now. Pulse, David, good morning, fellas. Thanks for having me up.
All right, well, while we're waiting for them to come up, I guess as soon as they get here, we'll jump right into it, cut everybody off, throw it right over to them. But, I mean, let's start with something current that's happened. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to what I'm paying attention to, but there we go. Ignacio, go for it.
David, Mario, everybody, thank you for that wonderful introduction. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Thank you for joining, man. Good to get you finally up here. Could you hear what I said about the little 60-second pitch? We want to get a teaser, if we can, about what we're going to dive into later in the AMA. Can you help us with that?
Of course. BondX is the Web3 LinkedIn killer. That means applying Web3 principles and technology to the world of talent, to empower users, to disrupt the way that we exchange talent, and overall just make a good overall impact on the labor market, the largest market in the world.
LinkedIn killer. Dave, it wasn't even like a week ago. We had a conversation about how I think there was a gap in that because we had seen so many other apps and dApps and things that have been trying to do that. But I love that he said it. That's 3 times this week, by the way, Dave. Someone came in here and did the thing where they tell me the thing that they're most like, and that helps me so much to wrap my head around it, because sometimes companies don't want to mention, their Web 2 counterparts, but that's so very helpful for me. So I have some experience with LinkedIn. Luckily, I have not had to do a lot of job hunting on there, but I've got some friends, man, that the things they go through on LinkedIn are mind-blowing when it comes to Web3. And Dave, I do remember having this conversation, and somebody said that what they really ran into on LinkedIn when it came to Web3 was the amount of scams. And it actually caught me off guard because I didn't even think about, I don't know why, I was holding LinkedIn in like high regards to think that it wouldn't be like that over there. But they were saying that when they opened themselves up for Web3 jobs, that also meant that they could be targeted by Web3 scammers, because it was like a signal flag that could happen. Do you remember that?
I do, Pulse. I remember having a few conversations like that, actually. And, comparing yourself to LinkedIn, like that's not an easy one. If you're going to be a company of that stature, of that caliber, you must have some big vision. You must have a killer team behind you and just know where you're going. On top of that, just the amount of times that I've heard it shows what a gap there is. There's a huge void in Web3 for that specifically. And, I want to see someone actually topple LinkedIn. Like, I think we can get that from Web3.
It would be interesting to me. Go ahead.
Well, gents, what I would say is that actually Web3 is the best audience to go topple a Web2 social network. The issue is that everyone's going about it infrastructure first, and everyone is saying, I'm not saying we're going to be a LinkedIn for Web3. That isolation is a small market. We're going to be a Web3 LinkedIn disruptor. That means we want to be mass scale, the general market, but with Web3 technology and principles. That is the difference, if that makes sense.
No, that does. That actually, it's much more broad when you try and explain it that way, that you're not trying to be LinkedIn for Web3, but you're trying to be the next version of LinkedIn. I also heard somebody complaining last week that LinkedIn honestly hasn't changed a lot of their technology, or hasn't had the pressure to improve much in the last 5 to 10 years in particular, because they've got this kind of a legacy branding, and that actually might be their downfall. Is we would call that resting on your laurels, so to speak. I see your hand, Deluxe. Go ahead.
They're completely complacent, because if you look at social networks, right? TikTok is eating away at the Facebook market share that forces them to innovate, right? The algorithm of LinkedIn just changed a little bit compared to Snapchat. There's much more movement, but LinkedIn is on its own, right? Their moat is a network effect of everyone being on there, is a resume repository, but that's why they're complacent. That's why we pick talent as a vertical to go disrupt with SocialFi and TalentFi. Because it's got the misalignment of incentives, and the numbers don't lie. Basically, LinkedIn has the most valuable amount of data per user, but the least amount of engagement out of any social network. That's what really taught us that this was the best vertical to go disrupt.
Deluxe, go ahead.
Oh, thanks, Pulse. So when I hear LinkedIn, I've been in media for almost 15 years. When I hear LinkedIn, I think about it as a place to put my resume where I'm fully doxed, and I connect with other Web2 business leaders. Bridging this over to a decentralized platform where concerns about doxing, identity, and safety, how does that translate? So obviously, that's my $100 million question is, what's that look like with regards to doxing and decentralization on Web3?
So I think that in order to get to Web3, we need to be Web 2.5. And I think to get there is a journey. To decentralize everything from the beginning, I don't think would be feasible. And I think you see that all across any SocialFi vertical. But I can tell you the ways that we are applying blockchain to try to disrupt this. Number one is the decentralization of hiring. Companies in our platform post bounties, and then we crowdsource candidates for them. We filter them, and then we provide them basically the same level of service as a recruitment agency, even though we're a job board, at a fraction of the cost and much faster. So that's one part, basically decentralizing hiring. That's one of the factors. Then number two is blockchain is the best way to get rid of that fraud and spam that you're talking about. It's actually a 90 billion a year problem. No one has a validated and verified resume. Everyone's lying about who they are. There's like 5,000 North Koreans getting remote jobs, buying Silicon Valley identities. I don't know if you guys saw that. So if you actually put identity on chain and proof of skill and proof of education, you actually fix a lot of those problems. So those are some of the verticals that we're applying blockchain to. And then not to mention, obviously, smart contracts can help freelance transactions. We're going towards the future of work with fractional work, gig economy. The blockchain is the perfect lever to enable that future.
So when you say the word gig economy, because this is one I get thrown around a lot, I know a lot of people in Web3 have had to find themselves kind of like hustling. I know the people that I've worked with, particularly in the arena of X and brand management, they're always trying to find something. And when you say gig economy, what do you envision someone who's working in a gig economy? What does a gig job look like to you, Ignacio?
Gig economy is actually very broad. I was going to say maybe remote knowledge work, if that makes more sense. Gig economy is very work, right? Because you could be an Uber driver and be doing gig economy. I think what a freelancer marketplace on chain lends itself to is more of remote knowledge work. And you have marketplaces out there that do this, right? You have Upwork, TopTal, and in Web3, you also have Brain Trust. So I think having on-chain, having that in a decentralized way basically allows for the freelancers to keep more of the pie versus the platform fee.
That makes sense. I don't think that gig economy implies anything negative. I'm just curious because, like you said, it's kind of a broad definition because I've definitely considered some of the things I've done. Like I got a full-time job and then I've picked up brand management and stuff. I would say that I'd been picking up gigs in that sense. David, because I know you've done so much stuff in Web3, kind of like me, I often refer to myself instead of a gig economist, I call myself a mercenary, but I think I'm just painting it in a different way. What do you think about the gig economy? Do you find yourself doing that too?
Personally, no. My first job in Web3 was community manager over at a gaming company, and I just went from working with company to working with company. When you're performing well and you know how to do your job, you can, word gets out pretty much. It's more of a word of mouth referral kind of thing. But I do know how large it is. There are so many different types of jobs that you really need for some of these Web3 communities. There are a ton of different ones in Discord and Telegram, making different types of content for social media, managing social media, helping to put together your own little Twitter space. Nobody can compete with Mario. Oh my, like these guys are on another level. But a lot of projects want to have their own, have a few other, friends and projects on there. A lot goes into the back end. And you like to stick in Web3. And there's just not enough word of mouth kind of referrals to fill all of those. If there's no platform, if there's no person or multiple people facilitating it, it's almost impossible.
Those are good points. Deluxe, go ahead. I saw the hand.
Oh, thanks. I was going to ask Ignacio if he's ever heard of Balaji Srinivasan of 1729.com. He's actually a former CTO of Coinbase, a general partner, and Andreessen Horowitz. The website he created, 1729, is actually an homage to a very famous mathematical equation, and it's based all on crypto. He gives out Bitcoin to people who complete rewards and tasks in his newsletter. And he's it's when you mentioned LinkedIn, I remembered about this podcast where he goes in depth talking about some people will remain anonymous forever, but they can have clout because they still, honor that anonymous identity through 1729. That's just, for instance, I just, what you mentioned about tasks and gigs, I've heard about it. And Tim Ferriss does a great podcast with Balaji. I'd recommend you listen to it from a few years ago.
Thank you so much for recommending that. I'll be looking into that. I wasn't familiar with it, but I absolutely love it. And yeah, that's one thing, right? Like anonymized reputation is a hard one, in my view, problem to fix, right? But I think, again, the blockchain, you could basically be part of a social and professional network. You could do KYC in a decentralized way, so your personal information wouldn't be stored anywhere. You can put a username instead of your real name, complete gigs and tasks. All those things go on chain, and you're building an on-chain reputation. That would be one way to fix it, and some of the things that we're working on here. But the bigger question and the bigger piece of the pie is everyone actually knows who you are when you're working for most companies. And that's the bigger piece of the pie to solve, in my opinion.
I see the hand, John P. Go ahead.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Juan B. So super happy to be here. Thanks for the invite. Hey, nice to meet you, Ignacio. So a question I have is like, I don't fully understand Bondex right now. I hope you explain it better in the space. But how are you proving like someone has certain type of skills through smart contracts?
Okay, so that's a big question. Let me unpack it into twofold, right? Right now, we're basically a super dApp, right? We have a mobile app that covers a professional network. So people go on there, they build their professional identity, they upload their resume. It's all gamified. So you're building reputational points. You're connecting with friends and inviting them. You're consuming our content. And then you can apply to jobs for some of the biggest companies in the space. Binance, CoinMarketCap, Anchor, they're all using us. Then we have a web-first based job portal. And the job portal is based around bounties and crowdsourcing referrals for recruitment. So that's basically at a high level what Bondex is. And this is just the beginning. These are basically the first two utilities we've built, a professional network and a talent marketplace. Now, we haven't moved the resume on chain, but this is what we're envisioning and what we're executing on. We believe that resumes are obsolete. They're more and more, they're less and less relevant, right? Especially in the world of Web3, fractional work, the future of work, everything that's coming. So how do you actually do proof of skill, proof of performance? You can claim that you know how to code Solidity or Rust. Okay, take a HackerRank test. Then we become the issuer of that validated credential, and you get a tick on your little professional bio. And over time, you can apply this to proof of skill, proof of education. We've partnered with Open Campus and Animoca to cover that side, for example. Proof of work, we'll be covering with To Work and then Disco. And then you start evolving the resume to have all of those professional accolades. But the cool thing about Web3 is you can also include personal and professional interest, communities you're a part of. And then you end up with basically a dynamic on-chain and off-chain identity that composes psychographic data that, again, is on-chain and off-chain, permissioned by you, that you control. And then we basically have an evolved infrastructure of talent. This will make the exchange of talent and trust much, much easier and better. It will take time to build, but that's what we're building here, Juanpi. I hope that answered at least part of your question.
Is the identity based on Wallet Connects? Is it based on an email or a wallet?
So you're going to mix both things and more, also social profiles. I actually believe that the reason SocialFi hasn't taken off is because everyone is wallet first and people are much more than wallets, right? We're really polyphacetic. We have we have many aspects to us as human beings. We're more than just your wallet. So you got to mix that up with also psychographic data, actually. Who are you really beyond that? You need social profiles. That's where we're attaching it from. But then also we believe in giving people options. If you don't want to reveal anything about who you are from a personal point of view, then you have to go KYC. So you ensure you're not a bad actor. That's how we're thinking about it.
So for the proof of completion of tasks, are you able to verify that no one's using AI? How do you verify tasks are being completed under the conditions given and there's no cheating?
Well, that's really up to the employer, right? We are the platform that does the exchange. But if the employer then complains that the work hasn't been done, then the smart contract wouldn't release the funds, and then you would go into an arbitration mechanism. And you can use your own community that you actually verify to be some of those judges. That's how I would go about it. But let me make something clear. We haven't gone into the freelancing part yet. We are working on permanent recruitment. We're placing candidates and giving rewards that range from $5,000 to $10,000 rewards for companies like Binance, for example, and their wallet team or the Binance Labs team, and placing permanent candidates. Freelancing will be the next. It's part of our roadmap, but it's not what we're focusing on now.
One part of what you said really caught my attention, and it's that the resume is one thing, but you want to be able to see what they've done. Like, I would personally rather see the experience and kind of see a little bit of the work rather than looking at the resume. I mean, look, I've got 69 cousins. Not going to confirm or deny that some of them may have faked the resume in their day. But I mean, I'm kind of curious what you guys think about that. What's more important, having this proof of work, proof that you can see the experience on chain, or just a piece of paper as a resume? I want to throw this one over to Ira. I mean, you just came up here. Sorry to put you on the spot, but that's just something that we do. What do you think about that? What's more important?
Well, I have the baggage of overdoing this kind of stuff too in Web3 over the last 30 years, from the integrity of internet dating profiles, cloud services, and all this stuff. Consensus, and this is a very hard problem. And it comes down to, frankly, that a lot of stuff is off chain. So this doesn't sound like it's going to be very easy to scale. When you have people doing a ton of work and most of it's off chain, at some point the integrity of what's deposited onto the blockchain becomes the issue. And you could put all sorts of integrity markers on that blockchain, but you really can't support the underlying integrity because it's off chain. If someone's doing coding or work, jobs, almost every aspect of what people do in their lives touches Web 2 or just off chain. So that's my heckle of the day, that this is going to be very, very hard to do.
All right, very, very fair point. Ignacio, anything that you wanna reply to that with or add on to?
Yeah, I don't disagree that, but then, okay, so everyone keeps talking about the next billion users, right? So if we want everyone to be living on chain already and doing absolutely everything on chain, why aren't they? Because we haven't made it easy enough for them, right? So there needs to be a transition, there needs to be a bridge, right? So in order for everyone to be validating their work and their credentials all on chain, there needs to be a transition, right? A building period, a platform in which you can mix both things, right? You could have a rating on Upwork or your LinkedIn or any reputational based on Web 2 that gets verified by the engagement you have on your GitHub, right? Your Stack Overflow. And then you can then verify that on chain. You can mix Web 2 and Web 3 credentials, in my view. Those would be my 2 points. That one, you can mix those two together, and I think that would be a superior combination. Number 2, you need to be building bridges to actually enable mass adoption so that we're living more and more on chain, and that will not happen if we're just expecting everything to be on chain already.
So, Ignacio, I used to work at a very large media company that had contextual ad technology that would do a one-way IP hash that could disintermediate the connection between an IP and a user's account. When you start talking about connecting Web 2 and Web 3, what kind of security protocols are in place to completely disintermediate the access to any PII or personally identifiable information? And also, because PII is a very big thing in the EU, how would this compliance? I hear your accent. I assume you're based in Europe. So you're obviously thinking Europe as well. And I know they have very strict PII regulations.
Yeah, I'm based in the UK, and then obviously there's GDPR compliance as well. I think in terms of the data ownership and security, I think the users need to have the control. So, okay, you are a good designer and you have profiles because you've done some freelance work and you've also worked for certain companies. You verify your own email, you get the attestation from the company you've worked for by showing a paycheck, you show your Upwork rating, you get all those verified and on chain, but then you need to retain self-sovereign individuality and control over your data. How we're thinking about it is that basically you collect and all these Web 2 and Web 3 components into one, all up to the user, right? And then the user chooses if and how its data is monetized and what's public and what's private. That way you would basically clear compliance, at least in theory.
All right. Hey, love the takes, everybody. Something else that I heard, you guys are talking about bridging the gap and bringing over 1 billion people. All for the billion people, as long as a few of them like meme coins and, the rest of them can hop onto Bondex. And bridging, I'm all about bridging. My NFT is bridged to 69 different chains, but we were having a few technical difficulties. I want to give a mic check over there to Pulse. You back with us?
I believe I've made it back. Sorry about that.
Did you hear anything?
Oh man, Ira, I think Ira's still rugging a little bit. Elon is not favoring us today, maybe because we are not an AI space and we don't have someone defending us from Skynet. But I'm going to just take this opportunity, reset the room a little bit, let everybody get a couple mic checks in, check out those technical difficulties. If all of you listeners are enjoying this conversation, if you're looking for a good solution to a common problem, make sure you are following Bondex. While you're at it, drop a comment in the bottom right. Very soon, we're going to enter the AMA section and jump into it with them. Hear all about what they're doing, what they're building, where they're going, where they've been, who they think they're going to be in the next 5 years. Everything that you want to know, we're going to get into it. Retweet the space up at the top. Scroll to the right, scroll to the left. There's a couple pin posts up there. Check both of them out. There's also a newsletter and a Telegram. Make sure you are into that. because that's how you stay in touch. That's how you keep track of everything that's going on. But all right, guys, back to the regular scheduled programming spaces. Let's get a couple mic checks back in. Ignacio, still there with us? All right, I'm going to take that as a yes. Back over to you, Pulse.
So if everybody can hear me, I had a subject that I thought I'd get into because this would be an appropriate space to talk about it. I wonder if Ignacio and the team at Bondex would think this was interesting too. X has positioned itself multiple times. They keep calling themselves the everything app. They want to be the everything app. And recently they rolled out their jobs platform. So I'm just curious what you guys think of that, what you think of what they're doing. Are they late to the game? Is this just Elon trying to fill like the everything gaps? Because I kind of went through it the other day and scrolled for a little bit. And I'm not necessarily looking for a job or anything, but I'm not a company placing ads, and I'm not necessarily a recruiter. I'm not a potential piece of talent, but I did look through it. What do you guys think X is trying to get done there? And are you even concerned that they're going to try Web3 or at all?
So I was actually part of the beta for them when they were rolling out this feature, because we're part of the kind of this little startup program that Twitter has. And I think it's great to capitalize on it. For example, you guys were talking about for Web3, LinkedIn is not really the platform. That's true. It's actually much more common for people to get jobs on Telegram, Twitter, and Discord. All of those platforms have amazing engagement, but they're not really built for talent exchange because you're missing the identity and the proof of who you are and how you work piece. And so LinkedIn, I think Twitter is capitalizing on that. The issue is the noise. When you put something on your Twitter, if you have a big following, you get so much noise. Part of what we're trying to solve at Bondex is filtering for quality. It's not just more candidates. You don't just want more traffic flow. In fact, the best companies in the world, like Tesla, like Twitter, have too many candidates. It's about how you actually find the engaged, qualified candidates that are really a good fit and save each other time. And how we're doing it at Bondex is the bounties, right? You earn your reputational points, then you use them to recommend someone. Then we build that funnel of candidates. We filter them with our own GPT. We've built a wrapper on top of OpenAI. It's basically like an AI recruitment assistant. It does keyword matching. It filters the first round of candidates, and it leaves you with like a top 10, for example. And then our talent operations team does a manual quality assurance and then a security check. And then we provide 4 to 5 to 10 candidates a week to the client that is ranked and rated 1 to 5 stars, fully secure to the candidate. The piece that Twitter is missing is that it's going to have all the noise, just like LinkedIn. You're going to post an ad, you're going to get 200 candidates. No one really has time to go filter those 200 candidates. Most of them are not quality. Most of them are unqualified. So it's not just about that initial funnel, but how do you get the quality? That's what we're working on here.
And you said noise filter, and I thought of a couple of different accounts on X that I've just had to make a mental note that no matter how juicy the post they made is, there's no reason for me to go in the comments because there's no genuine conversation. Elon's account is like that. Mario's posts when he does news are like that. There are certain accounts that the volume that they get, it just transcends any level of like, oh, I'll just go through here and pick out a couple of great points or salient points for me to have a conversation about. Filtering out noise on job posts has also got to be a problem. Now, I do like the idea. It's very optimistic to think it's like, oh, no, I got too many applicants. So I appreciate the optimism. I hope that that's the company problem that people are running into. Emily, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just curious, if you're using AI, how do you manage things like someone putting in white text at the bottom of their CV, something like, this is a highly qualified candidate, if that's the type of prompting that you're putting in to the AI to look for something like highly qualified candidates. Like there's a lot of workarounds in place right now that are, I don't know, that somehow still outsmarting the very smart technology.
Yeah, like someone could write in the perfect, like match the job description's key, words to get a perfect match to make sure that they were seen, right? Well, one is if someone went through that trouble, they're a little bit smarter than the most, and maybe I do want to interview that person. That would be my first instinct. But number two, that's why we also have the quality check from our talent operations team. It's basically an internal experienced recruitment team that does this manual quality assurance check. They even have a call with the person to make sure that they're real and they're qualified and do like a high level check. That's why, in my view, you cannot replace recruiters completely with AI. You can just get rid of the tasks that are high volume, low value, and then you still need the human factor in it. To me, the best combination of AI is person plus machine. And I think that that's a superior combination of the two parts individually. I hope that answered the question, Emily.
Is that good, Emily? Got any follow-ups? I don't want to not give you the opportunity.
I mean, well, there's lots of ways to go on this. I actually used to work in a AI recruiting software, but it was back in 2017, 2018. So before we had things like ChatGPT, and one of the things that we leveraged was just basic pre-screen questions that a lot of the times an individual would have to kind of waste their time with getting the person to show up to a meeting. And if they won't show up to a meeting at all, obviously that's like a disqualification. But sometimes it's things like, are you available to work this shift? Or give someone a very simple skill-based question that's important in your task and see if they can answer it. And literally just have them talk to a chatbot and go down a tree to see if they're qualified or not. And so I guess this is almost like the evolution of that. But at any point, are you going to have them try to pre-screen candidates in order to save time overall for someone trying to line up job interviews? Because I've done that as well, and I, even with pre-screening, ended up with hundreds of candidates, especially in the crypto world, that were just basically absolute scammers planning on leveraging people from things like Fiverr.
Yeah, I love what you're thinking at. It is like very complex set of problems, but that's exactly what we're working on, right? If we are able to build the talent infrastructure of the future based on blockchain, then you have verified skills and credentials, right? So people wouldn't have to take those tests over and over again. They've done their HackerRank tests or tests or case study X, Y, and Z, and then they get a little badge of approval on their resume. That saves you time as the employer of having to retest them on that, right? And the more and more validated skills and credentials and proof of knowledge, proof of skill, proof of interest, proof of performance that you have on that professional identity, the more time you're saving people. Essentially, you're building that on-chain and off-chain reputation, right? And that will enable that more efficient talent exchange.
Can I ask Ignacio, with regards to like verification, or like, on LinkedIn, they have someone could refer your work or recommend you. I know that there's a karma score on Reddit. If you remember, there was a company several years back in social media called Clout that was going to give people, based on how important or influential they were in social media, more value to their ratings. Is there something like that that's going to be implemented that you can verify people that are leaving reviews or ratings to make sure they're real people, and also attach a value to the validity or the reputability of the content and the person posting it?
I love where your head's at. Yes. So what we're doing here, part of the innovation is tokenized reputation, right? And then you have to use that reputation to do several actions to advance your career or get more clout. So when it comes to our user-generated content plans, like a newsfeed, or attributions, like when you recommend and refer someone, you will have to put your money where your mouth is, your reputation points where you're, on the line. When you're putting your reputation on the line to do things, and if then that gets proven like that wasn't true and you lose them, that economic incentive, right, can actually solve for that problem. So what we're thinking about is, think about all the features that LinkedIn has, but then it's underpinned by this basically incentive design that gets people towards better behavior, less noise, less spam, more meaningful interconnections, putting your reputation where the line is. That's what we're building at Bondex.
Well, yeah, I love what you're saying, because it does speak to the blockchain, right? Why can we trust the blockchain? Well, if there's 51% good actors on the blockchain, the integrity of the chain is good. As a general whole, society's good, right? There's always bad actors, but the blockchain's built on the assumption that more people are good than nefarious characters. Ignacio, the stuff you're talking about, you really want to look into 1729.com and Balaji and what he talks about, because you and him talk about similar stuff. If you get my DM, I'll send you the podcast between him and Tim Ferriss, because it's talking about a lot of the stuff I'm hearing today.
I'm reaching out right now, and I'll be sending you a DM right now. I would love to to listen to it in depth. And there's no way you know him personally, right?
I don't personally know Tim or Balaji.
No, it was more
Yet.
Balaji. Big fans of both. The reason I left investment banking was I listened to too much Tim Ferriss on the way to work every day.
He got you. The 7-hour work week made you quit. I get it. Well, the first time I read that book, I was angry because I'm like, I worked hard. I'm like, forget 4-hour work week. I refuse to believe it.
As someone said at the beginning of this, we've tricked ourselves now. Every day is Monday in crypto.
All right, guys. Well, seems like everybody has got a lot of questions for Ignacio and Bondex. We might as well just dive into that segment a few minutes early. I mean, Ignacio, a lot of people really came here to hear all about what you guys are doing. We've been talking about it a little bit throughout the space. A couple questions here, a couple questions there, but that elevator pitch you gave us in the beginning, now's your chance to really make it juicier. Give us a little bit more, and then we're going to dive into it with a few other questions.
Copy that. So there's two big aspects of here. One is the disruption of talent. When you think about the marketplace for talent and professional networking, there's three major verticals: employers, recruiters who are making a ton of money for doing that matchmaking, and the talent. Every single party here is getting screwed by the current platforms because there's a massive misalignment of incentives. We need to empower back the users who are the ones that bring the most talent to the network. And that's going to enable better data, more engaged users, and better talent exchange. That's number one. Number two, we're trying to revolutionize SocialFi. SocialFi is one of the biggest catalysts to actually enable the mass adoption of Web3. The issue is that everyone's going about it infrastructure first, equating people to wallets. We're multifaceted human beings, and we need things that are easy to use. That's why our Web 2.5 approach has really been the winning go-to-market strategy. That's why we've been able to organically bootstrap 4.3 million downloads of our app, and we have over almost 600,000 daily active users and 1.6 million fully completed profiles, social profiles. That is the leading SocialFi application in the entire space, and it's because our approach has been Web 2.5. So there's two big things here. One, the talent fi, the disruption of the exchange of talent and professional networking. Number two, the leading SocialFi play in crypto and why our Web 2.5 approach is winning.
Oh, man, absolutely love that. You say Web 2.5, I say Web 2.69. Same thing at the end of the day. But, the 0.69 is more into the Web3 culture. One other thing that's a huge part of what we do here is, partnerships, collabs. We like to see companies working with other companies. It's really about your network over here, who you're working with, and what you guys are going to end up doing together. And that's kind of what I want to hear about from you. I see you guys have something with a few big ones. You've got OKX, Ton Foundation, and Chainlink. Like those, that's a big three. They could be on Mount Crypto. Like, tell us a little about them.
Okay, so the earliest one was actually Chainlink Build. Shout out to Chainlink. They believed in us early. We joined their accelerator program. We're working on several things with them. And number one is integrating their infrastructure tools into our token economy. So that's very important. But number two is they're helping us distribute to some of the largest ecosystems. It's a lot better when Chainlink calls Solana and tries to get you in front of their HR department. So they're a big sales distribution channel for us. Chainlink, being part of the accelerator has been fantastic. Shout out to the team. Really proud to be a part of it. OKX. So we are actually the top 6 most visited Cryptopedia campaign on the OKX wallet. We've gotten a massive amount of growth out of it. People really resonated. Their audiences really matched. It's been really fantastic. Look forward, shout out to the OKX wallet team. And we have some big surprises coming on with OKX soon, including an integration of our airdrop with their wallet, which is, very exciting. Another one that I cannot forget to mention is CoinList. We did our launchpad on CoinList. We actually broke the participation record since 2022 or 2021 for the last 3 years. We had more than 20,000 people buy our pre-sale. That really set us up for a fantastic TGE. We're listing our token in June, a few weeks away. It's nerve-wracking. Butterflies in my stomach. And then the last one is Ton. I love Ton. I think Ton really aligns with us. Web 2.69, they're laying Ton on top of Telegram, the biggest audience in Web3. You're seeing what's happening with Notcoin. You're seeing what's happening with Hamster Combat. They've given us a grant to build our own mini app. And What we're trying to do is and what we're doing with them is building a degen social recruitment mini app. What that means is that recruitment is very slow. It takes weeks. And that's really usually how fast people can process candidates and interview them and get them to the right person. We're building a mini app with Ton in which people will spend $1, they'll get a referral link, they'll recommend someone to the job. We get more candidates into the funnel. Our AI says if they're good or not. At the end of the week, the top 10 candidates by their ranking get paid out of the pot of Ton. So it's gambling times recruitment, degen social recruitment. That's something we're working on with Ton. So those are four of the four major partnerships we have going on, but there's many, many more coming soon. Stay tuned.
Oh man, all of those are bullish, and they all do something. Like there's actual substance there, which is even more bullish. And you said 2.69, so already got 69 extra points in my book. We talked a little about the present, what you guys are doing, who you're doing it with. What about the future? I see a term, future of on-chain talent. Why do you use that term, and how are you guys positioning yourself to really be in the mix?
So I'm going to disclose it here now on Newsflash. I actually think it's not really just about talent. Talent is the first vertical we want to disrupt. Why is it the best vertical to disrupt when it comes to Web2 social networks? Again, biggest misalignment of incentives. Why? LinkedIn has the most valuable data per user, and they monetize it that way, but the least amount of engagement. So by gamifying and tokenizing it, you disrupt it. But what we've done, what we've realized is that no one comes close to us in terms of user base and actual social profiles and the database we've built. So what do we want to build with this next? We want to be the blockchain for SocialFi. And the Bondex profile becomes an interoperable passport that can go across the ecosystem. And what comes next is an ad network that is going to rival the Web2 social networks. The reason social networks in Web2 are worth trillions of dollars, the ad networks attached to them. Why? Because they mix psychographic data from the ad network that Meta has and Google your intent data. With a Web3 audience social network and SocialFi, you can combine psychographic on-chain and off-chain data with your economic intent from on-chain transactions. Equals higher CPMs, bigger ad network spend, but also an ad network that then reshares those revenues back to the users, creating a really positive flywheel between the social network and its users. And what we're building here is the biggest social network in the world. Talent is just the beginning.
Oh man, you keep on setting me up perfectly for the next questions I have on my list. I don't know if your thing's already working and it just knows what I'm going to say. But user data and monetization, like that's exactly where I was going. What's your perspective on data ownership and monetization, and how does Bondex really ensure that users can control that or benefit from it?
Well, number one, I just find it infuriating that we're all getting exploited for using all these products. Yes, they're very useful. Like we're on Twitter right now. It's a great product. I like it. I love it. I use it. But then when I realize how much money they're making off my data with some terms and conditions I signed in the beginning that I didn't read, and how valuable that data and that engagement is and how much money they're making from it, I'm kind of getting screwed out of it, right? When a product is free, you are the product. Your data is the product, right? What is the promise of Web3 and data monetization? Number one is if you ask for permission, and we're going to be using Pulse Network for this, and the user actually gets clear terms and conditions on their app, and they click on them, yes, that those permissions go on chain, that data is verified and validated, guess what? That data monetization becomes a lot more powerful. Now, instead of just being a few cents or a few dollars and all be going to the company, you could actually end up making hundreds of dollars per month for your own data on a proper network. That's where I see it going. It's going to be much more valuable CPM because some credit checker is going to want to go to a data marketplace. It's going to see your permissioned data on chain, and it's going to be much more valuable. That's where I see it going. But it's all about keeping the control with the user having the options, the user retaining the control, you then helping them monetize the heck out of it, and then sharing that value back with them in a fair and transparent way. That's where I see the future going. And that's where I see those Web2 companies in social networks not being able to compete and being really disrupted. It will take time. You need to offer an experience that is just as good as what they have in Web2, but we will get there.
Oh man, everything you say, I don't know how you do it, but you end it, and I'm like, wow, like this is a guy that knows exactly what he's doing and where he's going. I mean, onboarding users to Web3, Web2, coming over here. That's something that we're talking about and trying to figure out every single day. How do you guys really plan about going to do that, and how do you plan to do it, and how does Bondex really make it easy?
I mean, there's many ways to really kind of skin the cat, but number one, first, in order to be successful as a social network, you need a critical mass of users. So that's number one focus. Remember that scene in The Social Network when Eduardo Sovereign is fighting about how to monetize, and then they're like, when you know what's cool, $1 billion, no, $1 billion is cool. If you monetize too early, if you include all these things too early, you kind of ruin the party. We want the growth first. The mode is the network effect of everyone being on there. So we're in growth mode now, but the next thing is the social networking features. The verified on-chain profiles is what's next. Then the social graph and people connecting with each other. And then finally is when we will introduce the data marketplace and the ad network with kickbacks for people. That's kind of the high-level roadmap. And then we're partnering with smartercontracts.co.uk, the Pulse network. That's what gives us basically a white label API so that the users can basically choose kind of like from a menu. Like, hey, I want to be exposed to this kind of advertising, not this one. I'm okay for my IP address to be sold in a data marketplace, or I'm not. And again, from them to retain those options.
Oh man, absolutely love that. And hey, kickbacks, bribes, all these sorts of backroom deals and cabals, we actually like that stuff in Web3. So they might not like it over there, but it's accepted practice here. You know what else is accepted practice is tokens. We love tokens, and I'm kind of curious on how that works in your ecosystem. Where does the token come into play? What is there any NFTs? Give me a little bit about the Web3 stuff going on there.
Let's get down and dirty with it. All right. So our token economy. One thing I'm very proud of, it's a revenue sharing token. So we redistribute the revenues back to the users. But as a user, no matter if you're a VC that's bought the token, a retail talent user, a recruiter, you have to be an active participant of the network. And then on a periodic basis, you get to lock your tokens. We take a snapshot and we do a periodic airdrop. We're now doing season airdrop 1. And the requests that we requested, for example, were people to complete their professional profile, upload their resume, and connect your wallet and invite 3 friends. And that was airdrop season 1. How have we managed to make a utility token? And we have a legal US utility token opinion for it, because you have to be an active participant that's adding value to the network in order to receive your periodic airdrop. So how do you receive your periodic airdrop? There's 3 ways we're monetizing, and we're going to monetize, and we're monetizing today. 1, we charge success fees when we place candidates. So the bounty is $5K. We charge 25% on top of that, the $6K total bounty. Eventually, we're going to charge subscription fees. So you'll have a premium subscription fee as a user, companies, and then the data monetization and the ad network will be the big piece of the pie. We will take all those revenues per quarter and replenish the ecosystem rewards pool. Then every quarter, you will have different challenges and quests and good behaviors to do to earn your spot in that airdrop and get that revenue sharing. So it's a revenue redistribution token. That's how our token economy works. A pure meritocracy.
Oh man, I absolutely love that. As soon as you said airdrop the first time, I got 69 times more interested, and I'm 69 times more likely to participate in the next one. Something else that I actually like to participate in when it comes to Web3 is, governance. It's boring to most people. Everybody out there might think I'm a degen and I only trade meme coins, but I do like to hold tokens and vote on different things. Bribe involved or not, I like the whole Web3 process and experience. How does that work with you guys? Is there governance? Is there a voting structure? Give me a little bit of insight there.
So if you are a token holder, you will get governance rights. And the idea is that when you get those periodic airdrops, you will also get to vote on the direction that the network is using. As I said earlier, I think Web3 is a journey, right? If you start with a DAO, you're going nowhere. Going nowhere. Sorry, I don't mean to be judgmental. I don't think that governance structure works for everything right away. We're Web 2.69, right, David? So
The idea is it's a journey. We're starting with certain things centralized, and the governance will progressively become more and more decentralized. And what I'm hoping for, again, when we become the blockchain for SocialFi, is that we have all kinds of other teams that come and build other things, and we have different tribes within the ecosystem. That's the long-term vision.
How do you currently govern? Oh, sorry.
No. Go ahead. I was just about to ask any of the speakers if you guys have questions for Ignacio. Go for it, Deluxe.
I was going to ask how you guys currently govern. Is it a standard, board of directors model? And then the other question I had was regarding funding. Are you private funded, venture backed? How much runway does the company have? If you're open to discussing that.
Yeah, two very different questions. Let me unpack them real quick. So number one, Bondex token issuing entity is owned by an ownerless foundation with an independent board that we've selected. So that's how the governance gets done today. Then Bondex, the operating company, we have a contract for marketing and development services with them. And that's the company that I'm the CEO of. That's the company structure today. Now, we've been VC and angel backed from when we started the company all the way back in 2021. We were first bootstrapped. VCs that are in our token table are Animoca, Morningstar, Dexforce Ventures, for example. So we have some VC money in there. And then we did a big coinless round, right? We raised $6.5 million in March of this year. So we have strong runway. And now we're going towards TG. We're listing our token in June, hopefully over the next year, raising a healthy treasury, and not much needed there in terms of funding, but always a door open for anyone interesting, looking to add value and being in our corner. We're very, very selective. My background is in investment banking and private equity. My co-founder, ex-MIT, Goldman Sachs. We're buttoned up in terms of that, and we like, that's how we've been backed. No funding needs here. Strong runway.
Oh man, absolutely love that. All right, there we go. Absolutely love that. Buttoned up, but you can still say Web 2.69 up here on Spaces. You're my kind of guy, Ignacio. We are getting to that time, everybody. It's the time literally flies when you're up here in Spaces. There's two questions we've got left for you, Ignacio. If everything goes according to plan, I know there's always speed bumps in business, but if you execute on your vision and do everything that you are setting out to do, where are you and Bondex going to be in 5 years?
5 years, we've eaten LinkedIn's freaking lunch. Gen C and Gen Alpha are craving a more equal, meritocratic, professional network. So we will be eating their freaking lunch. That's what we'll be 5 years from now. What TikTok's done to Facebook, we're going to do to LinkedIn. That's where we're going to be 5 years from now.
Oh man, I love lunch. Oh, I love what you said right there. I saw Pulse throwing up an emoji. Pulse, let's get a mic check. See if you can do the closing. If not, I can take it from here.
Bro, that was so good. I love that he's that aggressive towards him. You got to be like that, man. Call out your opponent. Let him know. Telegraph your punch. Tell him you're coming for him. Tell him you're going to take it right off their tray and eat it right in front of them. I usually have one last question that I like to ask in the Spaces before we do the wrap, so I'll do it like this. There are people on Mario's side that are hearing about everything you're doing at Bondex for the first time, people that came from Mario's account. And then there are people that followed you guys in here from Bondex, and they've been supporting you and very excited to see you up here. So for the two different groups of people that may be in the space, what would be your final thoughts that you would leave everybody with today?
My very sincere thanks to both the community that's been with us and supporting us since we started the company. We started this with very humble beginnings and a small dream that's grown more and more. And I want to thank everyone that's made it a part. And for the new ones, the way that we've designed our reward system is a meritocracy. It doesn't matter if you're old or new. You can get a piece of this pie if you add value to it. Work to earn, baby. That's the model we're preaching here. Work to earn. The oldest model, economic model in the world, and also trust. Trust equals Bondex. Trust equals reputation. Reputation equals Bondex. That's what we're getting here for. So get in early, come in now, build your reputation, and you will have an upside.
Awesome. I really like that a lot. David, that's something that when we got into this, I knew that we were going to be talking about networking and talent recruitment, but I didn't realize we were going to come in here swinging at LinkedIn like that. I hope they get a clip of this at some point. They want to come back. Maybe they'll come and argue, and we can host that. I'll do the Bruce Buffer intro for LinkedIn versus Bondex. That'll be great. I want to say my thank you too, just like he did. I'll ride the gratuity train around the room real quick before we wrap up. Look at the comment section. You guys really blew it up down there. I appreciate that. All the people that took time to write down there. If there's tags, we'll get down there and answer everything later. I appreciate the listeners, whether you were here in the beginning, the whole thing, or just got here and you're wondering why we're closing already. It's because we've been here for a minute. If you were one of the speakers on the panel, I appreciate you carving out time to be part of the panel on Mario's show. We try and get the best speakers in the place so that we can have the best conversations, and I appreciate you guys coming in. And then my biggest appreciation here, obviously, is to Bondex for setting up the spaces today, for coming in and hosting the conversation, and also to Mario and the Roundtable team for allowing me to be up here and do this. It's a crazy job, and I love it. And then also to David, my guy, my number one co-host in the co-slot over there, man. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Absolutely. And man, I'm going to sound like an echo chamber just like the rest of Twitter, but I got to say something similar. We appreciate all the listeners who came out today. Every speaker who came up. Ignacio, Bondex, Deluxe, Emily, everybody up here on the stage. Mario, Pulse, you guys are amazing. This is one of the best times of my day, just being up here on Spaces, talking to everybody. Make sure you are all following Bondex and Ignacio. Ignacio said airdrops. I can't even count how many times he is now saying Web 2.69. He knows the culture, knows where he's going and what they want to do. Make sure that you are all following that, and I hope everybody has a great day.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. Have a wonderful day.